And welcome to our Farm to Home segment. I have this morning, as usual on the first and third weeks, Thomas McDowell with Medical Park Pharmacy located in the Boyce Willis Clinic building. Good morning.
All right. Good morning, Sandra.
So
Thanks for
glad
having
to
me.
have, this is where we get educated on all these little things that we need to do and need to know about. And you're talking this morning about magnesium, and I said, magnesium, yes, we hear about it, but do we know about it? So
Yeah, I think it's one of the most underappreciated supplements that's over the counter, readily available. So I'm excited to dive into some details behind why it's one of the most common supplements that I recommend.
Okay.
We've talked about fish oil in the past, we talked about vitamin D, but if there was one other supplement that I would recommend for a lot of different situations, it would be magnesium, and it's one that we're not always getting as much as we need through our diet. And I always recommend going the diet, lifestyle route, and getting your nutrients through food, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And it can be a lot easier to take a high quality supplement. So it's great that we have that option. So,
Absolutely.
so magnesium, it's a mineral. You can get it through food, but like we said, we can get it through supplementation, and it's involved in just hundreds of processes in the body. We'll talk about some of the benefits of it. Most folks are used to seeing the 400 milligram magnesium oxide is probably the most common supplement. And there's different salt forms, and so we'll talk about that a little bit more as well. But most people are deficient. That's what's important to know. Most people are deficient, and it's not something that you're necessarily aggressively testing for usually. You can test for it, of course, but it's one of those that it's sometimes put on the back burner, and it can really make you feel better, and we'll get into that, but really involved in when we talk about the different processes in the body, just cellular energy production. So it's cellular energy is key for everything our body's doing: brain health, organs, muscles.
Yes.
And if you think about those things, if we're feeling great as far as our brain health and our energy and our muscles, then we're pretty functional and feeling healthy.
Right.
So it's really important for energy and just functionality.
Right.
And so some of the benefits are, like we said, energy production, stress reduction, so it can help minimize stress.
Oh wow, y'all listen up to that
so
one.
That's a big one.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Everybody's stressed, and so better sleep, healthy muscles, healthy bones. It's good for nerve function, heart health. It can actually reduce blood pressure a little bit.
Wow.
There's studies that show that it lowers systolic and diastolic, and we're talking about systolic, that's the top number, diastolic's the bottom number. Can lower both of those, not super significant, but about 5 millimeters of mercury on each side. So if you're sitting at 125 over 85, might bring you back to 120 over 80.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty easy fix to help if you're kind of on that borderline where the doctor's talking about putting you on a blood pressure medication. That's an option that with typically less side effects. So
cellular
energy production, stress reduction.
Stress reduction, blood pressure,
sleep,
all
heart,
kinds of things.
muscles. Yeah. And so we can get it from supplements. And one of the key things that I wanted to hit on is the difference in the different supplements. If you just go grab some magnesium off the counter, you're rolling the dice, so to speak.
Right.
As far as quality goes, which we always hit on, there's a big difference in quality in over-the-counter supplements because there's not as much regulation as there is with prescription medication. So, oxide is the most common. It's the cheapest, most readily available, but it's not absorbed very well.
Oh wow!
So you're really not getting a ton of it when you take it.
So why take it? Why not go the route of getting the best kind? Because if you're going to take it anyway, you might as well get the benefit, right?
Yeah, and you're getting a little bit of, if you just need a little boost, it's not saying it's not doing anything, but it's not absorbed really well. And then if you don't have a lot of acid production, it's like if you're taking an acid reflux medication, that can affect how the magnesium is absorbed. So the oxide's common, and not saying throw it away if that's what you're taking, but just consider if you're not feeling, any of the effects that we're talking about, the benefits, and maybe your magnesium level's not increasing. It's something to think about switching. And so when we talk about the oxide, that's like the salt form.
Right.
That's what's kind of tacked on to the magnesium to help our body absorb it. And there's, the oxide it helps. It's just still not super absorbable. There's one called glycinate, magnesium glycinate, that's probably the best absorption out of the magnesium supplement. So you get the most bang for your buck.
Okay.
And actually a little bit less of the side effects. So some of the side effects that can come along with magnesium are some upset stomach and even some diarrhea. And so if you're getting a better quality one and one that's better absorbed, like glycinate, then you're usually going to cut down a little bit on some of that upset stomach.
So magnesium glycinate.
So that's probably the most absorbable salt form. Now, make sure you don't just go grab some magnesium citrate in the liquid bottle, because if you haven't heard of that, that's a colonoscopy pre-treatment type supplement, and that's people,
don't grab that.
Don't grab that and use it as an everyday supplement, because that one's purposefully designed to essentially be a laxative.
Yes.
And so that's not what you want to grab. I did a video about that the other day on our social media. It's one where you'll usually drink the whole bottle the day before your colonoscopy, because you're trying to clean out your system so that the physician can get a good idea of what's going on, in your GI tract and colon and so forth. So citrate's another salt form that is not very absorbable at all, and so it's really passing through.
Right.
Which makes sense. That's purposefully how that one works. So there's different magnesiums out there, but make sure you're getting a good one. But talk to your pharmacist about it.
Absolutely, and I can't say that enough. Have a relationship with your pharmacist and call them. They're so easily accessible.
And we're providing a lot of access to information, but I'm not saying you have to go at it alone, because we're talking a lot of detail and some biochemistry. And so talk to your pharmacist. Just knowing that there are options and resources and information is really the key to, is what we're trying to portray in this segment. So that's what we really want to get across. So talk to them. We can order things specifically for you, usually next day. If we don't have it on the shelf. But magnesium's one that I would highly recommend incorporating into somebody's daily regimen.
Well, is this something, Thomas, do you get this checked by your physician, your levels, or how do you know you need magnesium, or do you just take some? You can get it checked. It's usually pretty safe to take some. So it won't hurt you to just take magnesium? No. And
if you're not really, as long as you're taking a pretty, a normal dose.
Yes.
Now, if you're eating a ton of the foods rich in magnesium, and so some of the foods.
I was going to ask you that.
Very good. So if you're eating a lot of these foods, you probably don't need it, but if you're curious, you can have it checked. Leafy greens.
Okay.
So kale and spinach. Almonds, avocados, nuts, seeds, some whole grains, and then there's some high fiber foods that have magnesium, and then there's even some cereals that are fortified with magnesium, which would be kind of like supplementing. But those are the things. So it's not a ton of stuff, but
that's not really a lot, but still,
it's kind of some things that you are considered healthy.
Yes.
So if you're not eating really healthy, you might want to consider a supplement. And so you'll see a lot of benefit from it. And sleep is another one that it can actually help with. That's really important. But most people take it. Honestly, they take it for muscle cramps. Probably most common is what people have heard, that's something it can help with.
And as you get older, and it's not only people that are older, don't think I'm saying that, but as you get older, I would hear my grandfather say, when he was living, how bad his leg cramps were. He didn't hardly sleep. And so, leg cramps are very common and very painful. So if you can eliminate that, then, magnesium, hey, you might want to go to the pharmacy, to Medical Park Pharmacy, and grab some.
Yeah,
Ask them about
we've
what
got
kind.
one this a really high quality Solutions RX pharmaceutical grade that is actually designed specifically for leg cramps. It's called LC for leg cramps, but it's magnesium glycinate, and it's really absorbable, high quality. And I have several patients taking it that just could not get rid of the leg cramps,
Right.
and it did the trick for them.
Right.
And so we talked about it being key for helping muscles relax and function properly. So that relaxation of the muscles is what eliminates the muscle
Right.
cramps, hopefully, is the goal. So it's a great option. You'll see some topical formulations for muscle cramps too.
Right.
There's something called TheraWorks that you rub on a muscle that has magnesium. Not, probably not as absorbable as the glycinate oral form, but might be better than oxide. Definitely citrate.
If you're having those leg cramps, I will tell you, go get your magnesium, folks. And there's probably a lot of you out there that do have them.
Yeah, and a lot of folks are taking, prescription medications, and so it could be a way to eliminate something that might be more costly. Because most magnesium supplements, even the high quality, higher absorbable forms, are not super expensive.
Right.
The oxide is very, very cheap, and so if you're on a budget, oxide is going to be better than nothing. And so as long as you're able to tolerate it without having the upset stomach, you could potentially take a slightly higher dose of the oxide to get a little bit more of, bang for your buck and have a little bit more. But it's one of those that is underlooked by patients and sometimes providers too, because a lot of these things are, we attribute to just life.
Yes.
It's like, well, there's
that's right.
Nothing you can do about that.
But
When you get older,
is.
you can't sleep. You're tired. Your muscles aren't going to function. But there's things you can do, and always recommend starting with diet. That's the natural way.
Yes.
You can incorporate it into meals, which you have to eat. So, but if it doesn't work for you, it's good to know that there's a supplementation option out there. And so if somebody's calling us on the phone, at the pharmacy, we're gonna walk them through what's best for them, and if they're talking about muscle cramps or muscle function or blood pressure, I'm looking at magnesium. And also brain health too, help support healthy brain along with the fish oil. So if you're looking for something for just that energy is key.
Yes.
And so talk to us at Medical Park Pharmacy. We'd love to help you. Our number's 252-443-7979. And we're in the Medical Park building, or Boyce Willis Clinic building, on 901 Winstead Avenue, first door on your right when you come in. We'd love to help you with all of your over-the-counter and supplement needs, and that's what we're here for.
Well, I'm so glad you talked about this morning, because we hear so much about people, they tell me, I'm taking vitamin C, and I'm taking vitamin D, and I'm taking this, I'm taking that vitamin. But nobody ever says magnesium.
Yeah, I think people are grabbing whatever they can think
what they
might help
think about.
them.
People don't think about
Yeah, if we can hone in on what the actual underlying issue is, we
Yeah.
can really usually trim down the number of meds that you're taking and really focus on what will actually work. So, but the pharmacist is the perfect person to talk with about that. So develop that relationship. We want to help, and we're the most accessible healthcare provider in the community typically, because we're so accessible and easy to access as far as calling or walking in. So we'd love to help.
Absolutely. Thank you, Thomas.
Absolutely. Thanks,
for the
Andrew.
info this morning, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks. And we'll see you back right after this.